We just heard from Secretary Clinton. We are joined now by Senator Bernie Sanders. Thank you for joining us again this morning. Senator Sanders covered a lot of ground with Secretary Clinton. Let's go over some of the issues with you as well. First of all, that back and forth yesterday over whether or not that super PAC aligned with Hillary Clinton was going to demand the release of your health records. In the end, that didn't happen, but Secretary Clinton did make the point this morning that she has released all of her records. Will you?
Absolutely, of course. I mean, I think she released a 2-page statement on her health records. We will certainly do the same. On
guns, she also welcomed your support now of this gun liability legislation, called it a flip-flop, and said it's time now for you also to support closing this Charleston loophole. Will you?
Well, first of all, George, as you know, I have a D-. That's a D- voting record from the NRA. In 1988, I probably lost an election because I was the only candidate who said we should ban assault weapons. What I said months and months ago is that there were things in the liability bill that I liked, things that I didn't like, wanted to take a look at it. There's apparently a bill now that's going to be introduced to review it, to make changes in it, and I think the bill makes a lot of sense. So what we will do is be supportive of this legislation. There is an amendment, though, that I want to see incorporated into it, which is non-controversial, which monitors the impact on small gun shops in rural America. Bottom line is, I think that when a gun shop sells a gun legally to somebody, and then something bad happens, I don't think it's fair to hold
But what about closing this Charleston loophole, the 3-day waiting, that the person gets the gun after 3 days no matter what?
Well, that one was we're going to take a look at that as well. But the issue here is that what my view has always been, and what is most important, is that we have a strong instant background check. I have supported that from day one. I want to see that expanded and improved. Look, at the end of the day, what almost every American understands is we have got to keep guns out of the hands of people who should not have those guns. That has been my position from as far back as I can remember.
On the issue of health care, she made the point that it shouldn't tear apart Obamacare. People should be defending the Affordable Care Act. And you still haven't put out all of the details on your plan for Medicare for all. So how high will the top rate go, the top tax rate to pay for it? When will those details be here?
Well, those details are going to be out very, very shortly. But here is the point. Anyone who says, as the Clinton camp has said, is Bernie is going to dismember health care in the United States of America, is going to do millions of people will no longer have the insurance they have, that's nonsense. What everybody understands is that what a Medicare for all program is guaranteeing health care to all people. We still have 29 million Americans today who have no health insurance. We are the only major country on earth doesn't guarantee health care to all people, and yet we spend far, far more per capita on health care than do the people of other countries. So what I want to do is fulfill the vision of people like Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Harry Truman, and say health care is a right of all people. I would hope that Secretary Clinton would join me on saying that, and to tell the pharmaceutical industry that they cannot continue to rip off the American people and charge us the highest prices in the world.
But isn't it fair for the voters of Iowa to know how you're going to pay for it? The legislation you had back in 2013 had an additional 6.7% payroll tax on employers, 2.2% on workers. Fair to assume that will be in it as well?
Well, you know what, George? I mean, sometimes where the discussion becomes really absurd is that we will increase Medicare premiums. That is true. But we are doing away with all private health insurance premiums. And sometimes, and it disappoints me that the Clinton camp is kind of sounding like Republicans. The truth of the matter is, A, we spend far more per person on health care than any other nation. And second of all, a Medicare for all single-payer program would substantially, thousands of dollars a year, lower the cost of health insurance for the middle class of this country. So to say, yes, there will be Medicare premiums, yeah, of course there will. It's not free. But we are doing away with all private health insurance costs.
But don't voters have a right to those details before they vote? Shouldn't this come out before the Iowa caucuses?
They do. Yeah. And the answer is yes, and they will. And, you know, the answer is, bottom line, yes, and they will.
Secretary Clinton's campaign has also been making the point about electability. She seemed delighted by the fact that Karl Rove's campaign is now running an ad against her in Iowa. And you know that in a campaign, past positions are going to get scrutiny. So I wonder how you respond to some of the things that are circulating now about your past positions. Back when you were running for governor of Vermont as a Liberty Union Party candidate in the 70s and 80s, you urged congressmen to give serious thought to the nationalization of the oil industry. And then you went on, in the long run, Sanders said all utilities must go under public ownership and all necessities of life must be provided free for people.
Well, you know what, George, you know, that was a long, long time ago, before I ever was elected to anything. I was mayor of Burlington for 8 years. I've been in Congress for 25 years. You're right, they can go back. People can go back and look at the fact that Hillary Clinton, as I understand it, was a supporter of Barry Goldwater. Who cares? That was a long, long time ago.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is that
I have run.
What were you thinking then, and what changed your mind?
No, I don't. It's what I said 40 years ago is less important than you talk about electability. If you look at all of the polls, or almost all of the polls that are out there today, what you find is that Bernie Sanders defeats Donald Trump by a much larger margin than does Hillary Clinton. In the last national poll that I've seen, we beat Trump by 13 points. If you look at the battleground states like Iowa and New Hampshire, we beat him also by a whole lot more than Hillary Clinton. I think our appeal is to not only Democrats, not only to young people, not only to working class people, but to independents as well. So if you are concerned, or if the American people or Democrats are concerned about which candidate has the best opportunity to defeat right-wing Republicans, I think you're looking at them. It's Bernie Sanders.
Okay, and finally, just to be clear, so those positions, you completely disavow them?
You know, George, I have been an elected official for 25 years. Yes, those positions are what were before I even assumed any office. I have a record of 8 years as mayor of the city of Burlington, 16 years in the House, 9 years in the Senate. I'm very proud of that record. And anyone who wants to argue with me about that record, that's fine. You want to go back 40 or 50 years, that's fine. I don't think people give much credence to that.
Senator Sanders, thanks very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.